I don't even know what was going to my brain at that moment other than that's a fucking turd right there. That is a mo-facky turd. Alright. I'm back. I'm in black. And I suck sack. Thoughts? Let's get to it, baby. Second grade. So I actually had to think kind of long and hard about this one because there's something of a blur during this time in my head. But then I was like, oh, that's probably why. And also, that happened to someone else. So here's the story. This story is actually kind of like a recovered and completed memory. You know, I had the memory of this tale in my mind all the way to high school, but it didn't make complete sense until high school, where I met this guy named Monk. And now Monk is an eccentric, a lovable, and weird guy whose name is not Monk, but I gave him that name because he looks like a monkey. I might as well strap a backpack onto this boy because this is pretty much what he looked like, guy. I know there's some of you going, come on, Ahab, what is that? That's on you if you thought that. The guy's Latino, okay? Anyway, he happens to look like a damn monkey. A cool monkey, but a monkey nonetheless. Anyway, this dude, he not only entertained me many a day in high school, but one day he's just up and reveals, I met you before, and you almost killed me apparently. And I was like, what the fuck? And then he started to tell me the story, and I was like, oh, that was you, boy? So, second grade, playground, baby. You know how it is. People are telling stories of finding a guy with a pencil down his throat. The little guys, what do they call them? The little monitors are walking around going, don't do that, don't do this. It stinks. Games galore. Everybody's like, this is a thing we're doing. What is this, you know? Is it fun, actually? Probably not. But anyway, we're out there in the schoolyard, and up comes this guy. And I gotta say, by the way, he didn't look like a big old fucking Sasquatch at the time. But up comes this dude that I've never met before, but apparently he's met this friend of mine. So I'm like, all right, I guess he's in the mix now. And I don't even know how the fuck this started, guy. For some reason, I was like, hey, why don't we spin around with rocks in our hands until we get fucking, spin drunk, and then we release them and see how far they go. Cool game, I guess? Whatever. I don't even remember if anybody else was like, hell yeah, I'll join in. But I sure as hell did it, boy. I grabbed a big old rock and I started spinning, boy. And I released that mofacky and it made a beeline straight for Monk's head, man. And it hit him straight dead in the middle. I don't remember if he cried, but I sure as hell remember being taken to the office. Surprisingly, I didn't get a spanking that time. And I suspect it's because the principal was now a new one. So, man, she lasted 1 year. Old Gary Spivey-headed mofacky. So, what was up with that? She do something? Was she just evil to everyone? I don't know. Point is, this new principal is like, come on, guy, fucking rocks and heads? What is that? And that's about it, guy. I got a little slap in the wrist and then that was it. So, I never saw Monk again until high school, and it all clicked. I was like, oh. But here's the thing. You think Monk would hold a grudge against me for splitting his freaking dome, but he was actually a lot more obsessed with something else. And, it's rare the occasion that I have talked to Monk where he doesn't bring this up. Instead of talking about the injurious nature of our first meeting, he's like, dude, you were wearing this fucking TV shirt, and I want it. And I'm like, what the fucking TV shirt? And apparently I was wearing a shirt with a TV screen and a smiley face on it, And I can't tell you. I mean, there's no real way to explain how obsessed this guy is with this shirt. He spent enormous amounts of man hours looking for the exact shirt online. All these years later, I still hear mentions of the damn TV shirt. And I'm 100% sure he's never going to find it. So it's like this endless quest, man. But that's what he brought up, and I guess all the better for me because he's a great friend and a big part of this group of people that I liked in high school and cherished and adored, I guess, as friends. So yeah, I guess, I mean, oh, well, by the way, that was not the only head injury that year. Just a little sub story here. Cheating the rules again. I also split my head that year, not in school, but at home. I fell off a swing, and since we were poor as hell, we had a homemade swing guy hanging off a fucking tree, and not a good one. It was pretty fucking shitty swing. Evidence? I just spun the moment I sat on it, boy, and I split my fucking dome in the back. And because we were poor Mexicans, I didn't get taken to no doctor, man. I just got, the area cleaned up. They shaved my head around that part, and they slap a big old Band-Aid on there. But that's it until it fucking sealed up. So I would go to school with this enormous fucking Band-Aid on my goddamn head, man, for a good while until I guess I was okay. Or maybe that explains a lot of, my more strange ways. But, yeah, that's about the only thing I remember about second grade. So let's move on. Third grade, baby. I was officially moved to middle school. And this is where I found out, well, mind you, at the time I didn't know what it was, but in hindsight, this is clearly where I began to experience anxiety and its effects. The problem has only gotten worse as time has gone on. But yeah, man, I was extremely anxious about moving to this entirely new thing. Now, of course, feeling weird about any grade in school is pretty much part of the course for everybody. But I don't know, it was just a different thing, man. I had gotten so used to the familiar area that I was at that this move was like world shattering for me. But, once I was there, everything was fine and dandy. Or was it? Sorta, because this is also the year that I found out that there might be something else to me other than just being a person on this freaking dusty old globe. So I say that because I had this teacher who almost like a month or two maybe into the year, she was like, I don't think you belong in this class. And not in a fucked up way, like, get the hell out of here, you fucking peon. But she was like, I think you need some other form of stimulation to stay in the mix. By the way, this teacher was also the one that figured out I needed glasses. Because I was like, can't see shit, homie. What is this? Somehow I didn't know I needed glasses. I mean, obviously I knew what glasses were. And what is that, man? Was I actually special, like she assumed? Or was I a big, dumb kid? Anyway, the point is, I was in this class, and the assignments were easy. I had to finish them fast, help other people out, and I was just kind of poking fucking ass in there, guy. A little bored, guy. And she was like, yeah, there's something that you need here. Now, this is pivotal to the ongoing tales because she thought that, she made strides to put me into the gifted and talented program, which I don't know if that's a thing anymore in schools because they put a stop to it during my time in school, but I don't know if that's nationwide or if the program was even nationwide. But it changed to something else during my days there. But she made that effort to put me there in that class, and for about an hour a day, sometimes more, I will go to another class with a bunch of fucking geeks, man, I guess, right? And this is very important because, as it turns out, these people that were in this GT class, as time passed in my days in school, they ended up being the only people for the majority of the time that I spent in school that I was around. So my school experience is very different to a lot of people's school experience where, they go from class to class, they see a shifting horde of people, and, large swaths of people are always in their face. The potential for meeting different cliques and subsects just really ratchets up. But here, with these people, I just ended up being around them more and more as the years passed. And once I had hit junior high, I was pretty much always with this same group of people in every class, And that made a huge difference, man. We were all from different walks of life. We were all different interests, different. If our school had been more about cliques and subsets, we would have not ever hung around with each other. But because we were in this class, we kind of stuck. Not to say that the whole clique thing was a huge thing at my school to begin with, but, it really was like non-existent within this small group of people. And, yeah, man, super pivotal because a lot of these people ended up being very close friends and very much changed the way I personally experienced school. So I'm eternally grateful to this teacher who said, that guy, maybe he needs a little something else, because, boom, it just dramatically changed everything going forward. So, let's move on. 4th grade. Now, I'm going to mention this because it's so worthy of mentioning, but my 4th grade teacher was a Cherokee Indian woman that was gorgeous. This might be my first memory of me thinking somebody was beautiful, There was no sexual attachment to that thought, but my kid brain was blown to bits, guy. And here's the other kicker. She was married to a fellow native that was like the coolest looking dude of all time. Every picture she showed us of him was fucking awesome, dude. Dude was, first of all, muscular as fuck. Long, that long, smooth, silky, shining native hair, blowing in the wind sometimes. He would always seem to be wearing jean jackets and no shirt underneath, but, some necklace Indian regalia. He was never looking directly at the camera. He was always, like, kind of looking off into the horizon. Fucking badass, dude. Every picture she showed us of him, I was like, that's a motherfucking badass right there, guy. Knew nothing about the guy other than he was married to her and that, he was fucking badass. But I say all that to say this. The teacher herself, this was my first teacher's pet situation. This teacher fucking loved me, man. She loved me. I could do no wrong in this class. I could literally fucking murk a kid right in front of her and she'd be like, he didn't do it. There was nothing I could do, guy. Nothing I could do that was wrong, man. And, I loved it. Not because of the preferential treatment, which admittedly was a little, lopsided there for the other kids. But, I don't know, man. She did it in kind of the right way. Like, it was encouraging, but at the same time, it was like a nudge, wink, wink. Like, we know what's going on here. I'm treating you better than I should. Anyway, I have to mention that because she was so awesome. Sasatoya, really fucking badass. But the story that stuck out the most to me this year was with the kid that she disliked the most, unfortunately. And this kid, like I mentioned his name, obviously, but he was all right. He was the son of a teacher, and he was kind of one of those kids that later became one of the stoner kids. And I'm not talking like the metal stoner kids. I'm talking like the stoner kid that's just, he's lost in the void, guy. He ain't about nothing, really. And they were also kind of like very, how shall we say this, backwoodsy, I guess, no deodorant game. He had older sisters and they stunk up the place. But whatever, he was fine as a person, don't get me wrong. But she like really disliked him, Miss Asatoya did. She just was not about him. And it was not so much the way he was. There were kids that were way weirder than him. It's the fact that he wasn't good at the whole school thing. You know what I'm saying? Nothing. He didn't take to anything. And he was also one of those people that would give up and not try anymore. And I think that's really what pushed her over the edge. So, again, that lopsided kind of dynamic with her, where she was like, this is my boy with me. She was like, this guy stinks with this with this poor fucking chap. She one time made him sing a Garth Brooks song in front of the class. Like, that kid didn't want to do that, guy. And she forced him, guy. And I don't even think it felt like she was like trying to build some sort of some sort of rapport with him. But really, it was just straight humiliation, man. That kid was not about it. The point is, one time we had moved all the chairs in the class to the side, and we were in the middle of the classroom. sitting adequately enough Indian style, watching a movie that she had brought, right? And she would bring a lot of native related material, and there was some sort of ceremony, I'm sure super sacred to her and her people, but to a lot of the kids, they were like, this mad boring guy. You know what I'm saying? Me, I was like, this is fucking badass. Also, her husband was in the video, and I was like, that dude, man, I want to be him. Anyway, we were watching this mad boring video, and this kid, the least favorite, first she gets mad at him because he's yawning and kind of like doing it in a loud, obnoxious way. And I'm like, oh no, it's not gonna go well. But then I notice that he's shifting weirdly, guy. Then he gets up, and she's like, sit down, And that boy didn't sit down, guy. In fact, he shifted towards the like outer fringes of the group that was sitting, we were all sitting around the TV. He kind of shifted over there, and she again glances at him, and she's like, what are you doing, man? Sit down, watch the movie, right? And he's not doing it, guy. He's just standing stiff, and there's like a tenseness to his, to his appearance, and I'm like, oh shit, is something about to go down? Is this kid finally had enough? What's going on here, man? Well, he's just there, and now Miss Asatoya is like incensed, right? She's like, whoa, what is this, right? So she gets up and is making a beeline towards him, and that's when I notice that he's shaking one of his legs, kind of spasmodically, and I'm like, what the hell is that, man? And I'm thinking now, is this kid sick? The whole class is looking at him now. I'm sure this happened in the span of like a few seconds, but it's one of those moments where it felt eternal. Everybody's just kind of like, what's going on? Sasatoya's going towards him. Kid's shaking his leg. What is this, a kid stroke? What's going on here, man? And then it happens, guy. And then it happens. A little fucking turd comes out the leg of his pants. A fucking turd, guy. It just fucking drops there in the middle of the barren floor. All the chairs were pushed out, like I said. Fucking little turd right there, guy. And he just stopped shaking his leg. He looks down. There's not even laughter. That's how shocking this was. You think a bunch of kids seeing a goddamn turd on the floor would be chuckling it up, guy? Nah, homie. They were just looking at that turd with slack jaws, bug eyes, the whole 9 yards, guy. I don't even know what was going to my brain at that moment other than that's a fucking turd right there. That is a mo-facky turd. And Miss Astoya stopped, just dead stopped. Silence, guy, for like what felt like an eon. And then she goes, is that a piece of shit? Is that a piece of shit? And then the laughter begins, right? Here's the worst part, guy. All right, look, this is a kid, Yeah, he sucked. But, everybody has problems in some way. As much as I loved her, I feel like she should have been a little bit more lenient on him because, clearly the guy had some issue that stopped him from wanting to learn or wanting to do things, right? But she wasn't interested in that so much. Here's the bad part. Just like the Garth Brooks song, she made him clean that turd up by himself while everybody watched. And, you could bring in the janitor, and that's what janitors are there for. And granted, no janitor is like, oh, I'm going to go to work today and clean up kid turds off floors. But, if it happens, it happens. I'm sure they've seen everything from vomit to shat in their careers as janitors. But, she could have just let the janitor do it. And the janitor was there because they had to bring the mop and, the broom and all that shit. Nah, she made the janitor give him the tools and had that boy clean up his little fucking turdlet, guy. Now, for a little turdlet, that boy it's one of those that, like, I guess was sticky as hell and it just kept rolling, so he moved it and it was like just leaving an extending streak on the floor. And it was a whole fiasco, a kid trying to handle these big industrial mops and shit. It was a fucking thing, guy, that happened. I feel bad for him. Loved her, man. But I can imagine that he's probably like, I hate her, That was 4th grade. Most standout memory. Alright, I was going to put 5th grade in this one, but it's running a little long. So we'll do that one in the next one. See you then.